Hi guys, welcome to episode 11 of our KNX Top Tips series. Today I'd like to talk to you about setting the timeout via a group object. Now, normally when you're configuring a motion sensor, you would define the timeout using one of the parameters inside ETS. Now, for most instances, that's absolutely fine, and that timeout's never going to change. But you might have a client that wishes to change the timeout of his motion sensor dynamically using a GUI or some other device in the system. This might be a commercial property where you might have a facilities manager who basically wants to dynamically change that timeout to avoid the lights turning off, or maybe the room has changed use. And that basically needs to be upgraded or changed, and they don't necessarily want to get the KNX integrator to come back in and change it in ETS, but instead we need to give the ability to change the timeout for an external device, which basically means enabling a group object to do that. So let's have a look inside ETS how you achieve that. So here we have function number 1, and it's just switching. But if we go to advanced and we scroll down, you'll notice there's this section at the bottom here, and it says timeout and then hide group objects. So that basically means all the group objects that are related to the timeout and are currently hidden by default. But what I can do is I can enable them. I'll come back to talk about these two different options here and what the difference is between them. But let's just show group objects on show the group objects and have a look at them. So you'll see now we've got, for function 1, we've got the timeout input. So this is an input where we can send the time. It's in a 2-byte format, and you send the time in seconds for that particular function. So if I sent 60 into this group object from a slider or a GUI, or directly from inside ETS even, using the diagnostics window, that would set the timeout in the sensor to 60 seconds. But then what happens the next time I go and download from ETS? Because in ETS, I would have defined a timeout for this particular function. So in this instance, it's 10 minutes, so 600 seconds. Now, sometimes as an integrator, you want to overwrite any setting that someone might have updated during the course of using that device, and other times you'd want to leave that setting alone because maybe you're updating the brightness threshold. But if the facilities manager has set via group object historically in the past the timeout, we just want to leave that in the memory of the device. And that's where we use the two options that I kind of glazed over before. So the first one is show group objects, overwrite with parameter value on ETS download. So what this will do is when we download to the device, it will overwrite the timeout setting that's setting the device with the value that is in ETS. So if we're to set it, or the facilities manager has set it to 60 seconds using the group object, and then a week later I come in as an integrator and I'm downloading to that device and I have it as this option, then that 60 seconds will be overridden with this timeout, which is 10 minutes, so 600 seconds. If I didn't want to override it, I would change this option to show group objects, don't override with the parameter value on ETS download. And in this particular instance, that value won't be overwritten, and the 60 seconds that the facility managers set previously will be maintained. So that just gives you a quick overview of how to set a timeout via a group object when using our motion sensors. Thanks, guys.